gonna spend most of the
Welcome once again to Mearachd, episode 1. We join the party for the first time as Charles tries to hawk a book in the background. So, let me bring the music down just a little bit here.
No.
So, we have 5 players, none of them new, but one of them new to this time slot. We already introduced everybody last time, so let's discuss what is important for today. And that is who your characters are, where you come from, and why you are here in Mearachd. So, who feels like they have a well put together background that they want to tell me about who their character is and why they are here? Nobody?
I mean, I could go first again.
All right, go for it.
What was the questions? My name, description.
Yeah,
and the
tell
reason
us
I'm
about
here?
yourself and the reason why you're here.
My character is Trent Shade. We're doing descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's 6 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, human. He oftentimes is seen wearing his silken ceremonial armor, which is robes consisting of several layers of cloth and an outer layer of silk intricately woven with gold brooch designs covered with metal studs. He was originally from Krux. His parents thought he was getting in a little bit too much trouble over there, so sent him sent him out of country to university over here. And he's just looking for something fun to do.
Now, is he new to Mearachd, or has he been over here for a little while?
He's pretty new. Like, he just more recently got. He was sent over here specifically to enroll in the university.
Okay. Very good. So, for the record, you, like all of the rest of the party, unless party members happen to live in town and they still wish to live with their families, you are staying in the dorms here in Mearachd. They are fairly nice little spaces. You are typically sharing your space with another person. Right now, though, you are here without someone sharing your room. You have a feeling that's not on accident either. You know that your parents spent quite a bit of money to make sure that you could get in here. And they didn't want anybody messing up your studies. You have been given kind of the standard starting course roll with a couple of choices of your own. I feel like in this particular case, Trent probably chose party studies because he thought, oh man, this is like the perfect school for me. Party studies. So yeah, change some of the coloring here. So who's next?
My name is Erasmus. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead. That's fine.
Erasmus Sweetleaf. I am a 5'6" elf with sallow skin, dark hair, dark brown, light hazel eyes. I'm here because I am the part of a large wizarding family, and I was looking to make my mark in the community by going to an exclusive school, making contacts, and developing my skills as a magician. So it's kind of I'm here to learn with the rabble. I mean, you guys, however, I'm sure you guys are fine. I will be taking my studies seriously, and very focused, and don't want any like things getting in the way of that. So, now what were you people talking about? I missed it.
All right, so I think you, very similar to Trent, started off the year with a room that was by yourself. You come from a very, very well-to-do family that made sure that you had all the best things you could possibly need for being here in the school. And when you likely started your course load, Party Studies Party Theory is the name of the class, not Party Studies. Party Studies is the second class you'll take in the series. Party Theory is a class that you're required to take at some point during your course load. And presumably you probably figure, well, let's get the bullshit out of the way so that later on I can focus on the real good classes. Where this party shit is. I don't need people following me around doing whatever. Getting in my way.
Non-hacks.
Yeah, exactly. However, you would be very disappointed because you sadly will not be rooming alone, but we'll get back to that shortly. Because I believe somebody else wanted to go next.
All right, so my name is Niev, last name Soleil. I am a druid, and I'm from a clan of forest-dwelling druids, sort of an insular community. It's called Luciera, and so I am reasonably tall. I have tan skin, brown hair, but with like blonde streaks because I spend a lot of time out in the sun, green eyes. I am basically a people person. I enjoy, talking to people and making friends. And so basically, my community has chosen me to be one of the first to be educated at an outside institution. Basically, change doesn't come very easily to the community, but they, have recently decided to sort of test, if you will, to see if maybe educating the younger druids in, more than just our order, if that will produce a stronger druid. And so they have encouraged me to, study and made arrangements at the university. I also have a pretty close-knit family. And one thing that I always wanted was a sibling. But instead of having one the natural way, my family happened upon a hobgoblin who was orphaned, and they adopted her. And so I'm very protective of her, and she wanted to come with me to the university, and so she is going to also be attending with me.
Indeed she is. In fact, she's sharing a room with you. Tell us about Constog.
That she would be Constog, a very short hobgoblin at only 4'3", with dark hair and yellow eyes. She definitely wanted to tag along, and is very attached to her sister. She has sort of an interest in studying, but more so just wants to hang around with her sister, because it gives her a family. So,
party studies or party theory for the two of you would probably be a class worth venturing into. It's a class that kind of assures the two of you will likely be working together on something. So it seems the kind of class to kind of pick, especially since there seem to be a chain of these, and maybe this can kind of let you bond a little more, and it'll help Niev kind of introduce Konstag in a more comfortable way to people. Since, if I'm not mistaken, Konstag, you're more of a thinker and less of a people person.
Yeah.
So you and your sister do in some ways complement each other well. And this class might really give the two of you a chance to kind of bond with other people. But jumping to Erasmus's... Is it Erasmus, or is Aramis a typo?
It's supposed to be
Erasmus? Okay. I will correct certain things as we go, including the intro. You're not supposed to have a roommate, and you're fairly certain that your family took care of things. But after some time getting things set up with the expectation this room is yours, a very large half-orc, or a very large orc, makes their way into the room carrying their things with them. Whitney, tell us about Nikolai.
So Nikolai comes from a place you may or may not have heard of called Akunsant.
That would make you a refugee.
Okay.
You are officially one of the few people that is actually in exile from Akunsant and survived.
You don't have to live like a refugee, Nikolai.
Okay. Why couldn't I have left Akunsant?
Why couldn't Harcourt leave Akunsant?
Because he wasn't as big and strong
No
as I
one
am.
can leave Akunsant alive. So if you got out of Akunsant, that's a pretty big deal. It's fine that you chose that option. It's just a pretty big deal.
Okay. What do you want to know?
No. Tell us more about yourself.
I'm not much of a talker.
Why are you here in Mearachd?
So I'm an orc, and at 7'11" and 326 pounds, and my shining bald head, people often make some assumptions about me, that I'm just strong and stupid and just kind of here to provide the muscle. But the reason I came to university is to kind of take advantage of the intellect that I do have, and build on that, because I want to be able to bring vengeance for my sister that had been killed, and also learn about ways that I can defeat evil outside of physical combat. I want to be able to increase my spellcasting abilities and work on some alternate conflict resolution strategies. So that's why I'm here.
I think for you, party studies would have been a class you were kind of forcibly enrolled into for this first year. The admissions team probably saw an orc and made the assumption that, like, this person probably doesn't get along well with others. We can't delay on making sure they end up in the right class. But you would find yourself in a room, in your dorm room, as you arrive, with a much shorter than you elven gentleman setting things up as if you aren't supposed to be there.
Hey, dude.
I'm carefully arranging things.
Mm-hmm.
I look around to see who dude is.
Talking to you, buddy. You down there.
I'm
What's
looking
your
down
name?
at the floor.
Wow, people here are oblivious. Okay. So I think we're in this room together.
We are. That's
Yep.
not right.
Here's my room assignment. This is room 326, isn't it?
I look at his room assignment. Then I go and I check my door. I compare it with the room assignment.
It's correct.
Just get your shit off my bed, dude. Like, it's not a big deal.
Everything is a big deal.
I know it feels that way down where you are, but it's really not. We don't really have to interact that much. I'm here to focus. I don't know what your deal is, but we just have to.
So I quietly, sullenly remove all my stuff from his bed. There is no mumbling. It is just done with silent, grim efficiency.
Great, thank you.
You two get everything situated. Everybody else gets kind of moved into their room.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is their pet policy? Because I just realized I have a wolf.
Yeah, so that is a very interesting question, but there are certain assumptions here. There are wizards with familiars and druids with animal companions. So the policy is really used as long as you can make sure your animal companion isn't destroying property or ruining other fixtures. There's really no restrictions on this. There are lots of people here with various different animals or other vermin that they're carrying around with them. The occasional arthropod or arachnid.
Yeah, I have a scorpion.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, your sister brought along a giant stag, so, well, I guess in this case a little foal, but I think that's what it is for stags, is foal.
Fawn, maybe?
Maybe it's fawn.
He's cute and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. I did not know you had a wolf, so I'll have to make sure I add that to your character as well.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it.
I should give you a sheet for that companion a little later as well, so you can get it all filled out.
Yeah.
So, as we kind of go through the way this game is going to run, there's a few things that are kind of going to be happening here. First of all, you're enrolled in no more than 3 classes per. They're not really called seasons. They're not semesters. They are called semesters. They are not called quarters. No, semester has a specific definition, does it not? Hold on. I feel like I'm getting this all mixed up. What?
Typically, you have 2 semesters in an academic year and 3 to 4 quarters, depending.
Yeah,
on if
but
you have
there
a
are
summer
not. This is a world with 10 months out of the year, so it would not really be quarters. There's not really an even way to divide that without going into 2.5 week periods.
You could just say academic terms.
Sure, we'll stick with that for now. So for it's usually 3 classes per term. Each of you, we're not going to get into as much of your secondary classes. They're classes that largely focus on what you are as a class. So for the druids, you'll be studying a lot of wilderness studies, and some aspects of divine magic and how it works. For the arcane casters, you'll largely be focused on how ether functions and how to manipulate energy in a variety of ways. Those of you that are intel-based casters will kind of be grouped together. So it's assumed most likely that Trent, Nikolai, and Erasmus are basically in the same set of classes largely, and that Konstag and Niev are in classes themselves. So group theory or party theory is going to be the only class where the 5 of you will all kind of coincide outside of classroom activities. So I don't want to overdo it with a lot of class stuff, because I feel like some of that might get a little bit repetitive, but there may be some of that stuff that will come up from time to time. And I think that I'll try to make sure ahead of time people know kind of where we're going with this. And there is a lot to do here and a lot to learn. I hope that this is a very interesting and thought-provoking game. I plan for this to be a reasonable mix of some amounts of like field combat and some amounts of like practical application of your magic in the classroom or in other environments, and a reasonable amount of like social interaction and character development. So we should get a good mix for all of you. If you have any questions as we go through the game about your character's development or where you want to go with things or commentary related to that, I'm always like looking forward to hearing it. And feel free to direct it to me like after the game or between sessions. So, any questions as we get started?
No.
So, let's roll to the first day of your class. Nikolai and Erasmus, you two have probably... how well do you figure the two of you get along? How are you with other people?
Coolly indifferent.
I typically don't bother them if they don't bother me.
All right. So it sounds like you basically have a silent stalemate going on in your room at all times.
I would agree.
No stalemate on my end.
All right. So the five of you can attend your first couple of classes, and then you will meet with your classmates in the party theory class. How is everybody for timeliness?
On time.
Okay.
I probably would be maybe 5 minutes early.
Yeah, that's on time.
That's early. Oops, that's the wrong one.
Yeah, I'd be early. I'm excited about finally getting some drinks going.
I'm the same time as my sister, obviously.
I'm there an hour early.
All right. So, Erasmus, you're kind of sitting in class extra early. The room's been empty for a little while. The professor probably arrives about 20 minutes ahead of class to kind of get things set up and start going through some papers. But he seems a little bit surprised as he sees you seated up there with your book out ready to go. Excuse me, I didn't realize someone was going to be here.
Well, I wanted to read the first chapter to be prepared.
You're gonna be that one this year, huh? There's always one of you. Well, I should have you know that going forward, being early is not necessarily as important as being active.
I don't know how they're different.
We'll discuss that as we get into class.
Okay.
And he goes about his setup. Trent is probably actually the next one to show up to class. And Trent, you are probably very disappointed as you get in to find there are no drinks. There is no music. There is no one dancing. There's not even streamers.
I was promised parties.
The word party is on the giant transparent board that is behind him. But Professor Phelan looks more interested in the book in front of him than he does with anything that looks party-esque. He glances up from the book though as he hears you step into the room. And he watches as your expression changes from one of excitement to one of disappointment. And he goes, you were expecting something much different, weren't you?
Yes. Yes, I was.
You wanted the bard classes. Those would have been down the hall. However, come in. You've already taken the class. Might as well see how things go.
What do I see when I see him, Steve? When I look him over, does he look like a serious student?
No.
Does he look like competition?
He does not look like a serious student. He comes in like, what's like Trent's walking pattern? I imagine he's got kind of that like bit of a slow swagger to him as he moved from place to place.
I mean, yeah, kind of more like a lazy walk.
Okay.
But yeah, like I had gotten a grooming kit, a perfume kit. So I'm like, my dude getting ready for a party is gonna use those.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm wearing that silken ceremonial armor.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, Trent does not look like he's here to be any competition for you whatsoever.
I'm gonna turn to him and go, this is, I'm gonna say the name of the class, just in case you were confused.
It might be then that it hits you. You said party theory. He probably thinks this is the place for partying.
Oh, Lord. By sheer shot, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit down looking very disappointed.
A few more students will kind of gather in. And let's see. Do the sisters get there before Nikolai? Actually, you guys said 5 minutes early. So I'll say you get there before the person who said on time.
Early is on time.
On time is late and late is never.
Exactly.
All right. Fair enough then. So the three of you will probably arrive then about the same time. Nikolai, there are a line of students moving into the room. But eventually you'll be able to get in. Erasmus, are you kind of sizing everybody up as they come into the room? Or is this just something you did to Trent because they were like, okay.
Sizing people up.
So you catch a few people that like seem like they could probably be a little more studious than you, or maybe on about the same level as you. You're not sure too much about this class. There wasn't a lot of description about it, only that it was a required course.
Fucking capstones.
But when you see Nikolai come in, here is this massive roommate of yours, coming in ready for this party theory class. How do you feel about Nikolai as a competitor?
I'm not really worried because I think he's going to be the party fighter, and then and I'll be the wizard. And then, someone will need to carry me after I've exhausted myself doing all my massive spell deeds.
So you're hoping Nikolai ends up on your party if that's what will happen as a result of this class.
That's exactly right. Every stout student needs an assistant.
And you'll also see a few like the typical clerical sorts. You'll see, people here and there. But eventually you will see a pair of druids coming through the door. And they are very like close to each other. That kind of thing where it's very obvious that they're either like best friends or sisters or brothers or some kind of like very, very close relationship people.
You can't tell their gender by looking at them?
Who's assuming gender? We don't determine gender by looking at someone.
Sure we do.
But the two of them make their way in. You can tell they're likely druidic in nature. They both have little animal or larger size animal companions kind of following along behind them.
So Niev would be like smiling, anyone that catches her eye, she's like, "Hi, I'm Niev. Hi, it's nice to meet you." Like she's like being very sociable as she walks in. She also would be like, "This is my sister Constag," and just like introducing both of them, I guess.
I'm just politely waving with my books in my other hand.
The professor kind of watches the two of you as you go around to various people and meet them and introduce yourselves. And then he quickly jots some things down in a large book he has. And then looks over everybody. After a few minutes, there is a soft chime. At which point he asks all of you to be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Professor Phelan. Phelan. Some people mispronounce it, so you can choose to call it either way. I will be your professor for party theory. Just to clear some things up, this is not about drinking or playing loud music or wasting your time in general. We're going to go over some very important aspects of what it means to be a team player and what it means to be a member of a party.
I'm looking around. Does anyone else look disappointed?
There are other people that are disappointed.
I'm just assuming whatever team it is, I'm probably the most powerful member of that team.
Oh. Your video just switched over. Hold on a sec. I need to move some cameras around. No problem. But yeah, so... over a little bit. So, for this class, there is going to be a lot of group project work. And let me be clear about something. Many of your other classes might divide you into groups and have you work on it, and one of you will pick up and carry the bulk of the load. So let me assure you that party theory is not about that kind of thing. We're going to delve into what it means to have deadweight. And the deadweight will actually be a valuable part of what we're going to discuss. And eventually, your deadweight will either become valuable, or they'll literally become deadweight. We take no chances in wasting our time with people who don't wish to be in this class. This is a challenging class, and it will put some of you at risk, as many of the classes here at Mearachd do. This is a place to grow, to learn, and to become someone the world will care about. If that's not for you, you will eventually leave, one way or another. Now, let's get started. Can anyone here tell me what is the most optimal sizing for a group of people? in party structure for... Let's use a few examples as we go forward, and I want to hear some of your ideas. So let's start with an organized militia. Somebody give me some numbers here. People just start like coming up with numbers. Eventually, he rests on a number in the vicinity of 48. He talks about how, like, once something gets past a certain size, it is no longer really a militia. A militia needs to be small and easy to mobilize, but also needs to not be so exceptionally large, or needs to not be so small that it can't actually handle most major problems. And he goes over a few other, like, different types of groupings, and the numbering of what he would expect would be an average size. But then he gets to the real meat and potatoes of what this is about. Now, let's say that you have yourselves a class project. And you have to worry about a handful of things. The member of your crew that's going to do too much, the member of your crew that's going to do too little, and those in between. Now, how many people do you think it would be most efficient to have in order to make sure your tasks get done effectively? Some people start like giving up big numbers. Some people say 1. But eventually, someone stops on 4. 4. Hate that number. Do you know how many people out there have assumed that the perfect number of people for a group project is 4? So many of the professors here don't understand how foolish it is to assign them in groups of 4. 3 people cannot accomplish the project of 4. It takes but 4 people. I'm sorry, but 4 people cannot accomplish the 3 people cannot accomplish the projects of 4, but 4 people can accomplish the projects of 5. And that is why 5 is the perfect number for any group project. Now, I have used a very specific system of identifying who here, I believe, would work best in each group.
I'm going to raise my hand.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be 6? 2 healers, a fighter, a rogue, and a magic user?
That's 5, sir.
I do it on my fingers.
You said 2 healers, a fighter. What? You're off, sir.
2 healers, 1 fighter, 1 rogue, 1 spellcaster. Oh, and what is that thing that plays the instruments?
A bard.
Bard. There we go. Okay.
No. 6 is horribly inefficient. 6 is far too many. When you get 5, you are too likely at that point to have too many people that are not pulling their weight. You don't want to end up in a situation where a project is designed around 6 people and only 4 people are doing the work. 4 people most certainly cannot do the work of 6. You want 5. Statistically, it is likely that you will only have 1 piece of dead weight in a group of 5, but you will not have 2 pieces of dead weight. But you will guaranteed have 2 pieces of dead weight in a group of 6, or maybe the occasional group of 6 where everyone is exemplary. In that case, you have a much bigger problem with waiting on your hands. And everybody will want to be the head of that group.
I've written down dead weight in big letters.
So, let us discuss grouping. I have spent a great deal of time looking into the background of all of our students here. And one of the things I believe is important is people with existing relationships should be together in groups. So, if you are family members, consider yourselves together already. If you are roommates, consider yourselves together already. And he starts dividing people up into groups, asking people to move as he calls their name. He sets up a lot of groups before finally getting to the last 5 of you. You 5 are what's left. 2 of you are sisters, 2 of you are roommates, and 1 of you is the very clear deadweight. Now, you will see that my system has worked time and time again to determine what is the most effective party configuration and what is essentially people who are not going to make it through the first year. Yes, Nikolai.
What are we doing in this party? Like, what's the point?
Ha! Good thing you asked. Good question to ask. There are going to be a number of group assignments that I will be handing out over the course of the next 8 weeks. During this course, you are going to have papers to write, things to learn together as a group in pieces, and then teach to each other. But most importantly, you are going to be proving the value of field work. Now, most of the rest of the classes here won't get you out into the field as early as this one will. But here, we believe that learning how to work as a team means getting your hands dirty as a team. Now, does anyone object to getting their hands dirty?
Nia will
So
raise both of her hands, which are already dirty and smudged. Like maybe she was planting flowers or something, and she's just all like, "Nope, I'm good."
I would object, but I have already zoned out of this class, so I'm not paying any attention to anything he's saying at this point.
Erasmus, why do you object?
I just cleaned them.
You know they're washable, right?
Thank goodness you've elucidated that point for me.
Dear Lord,
Seems like it was necessary.
I hope the 5 of you can survive together.
We'll be fine.
We have to keep our hands clean.
Now, let's move on to, now that everybody is separated, let's move on to our first lesson, which involves how to best identify your dead weight and why he is likely the person that is healing you. He proceeds to go into a lecture about how if you look at how people that are non-significantly participatory in most activities often take up rear roles that do not involve sending objects forward, instead wait patiently for something to happen to someone else before they do something, or may occasionally do something to everyone else, and take a little bit of it for themselves. But realistically, they are most likely to cast invisibility on themselves and move about the field, not having to worry about engaging with any of the rest of the things that are around them. He says to look out specifically for things like bards, people who claim they get their magical power from beings from the great beyond, whether it be deities or questionable sources, or maybe they have some sort of innate kind of physiological problems that somehow also happen to give them divine powers. These people, you're typically going to see them. They want to hide out in the back. They might have something like a sling or a crossbow, but they're never going to use this thing. They never intend to fire it. And if they do, it's them distracting you from the fact that they are not helping out the party at all. Identify your dead weight. Make sure they're doing as much as they can at all times. Otherwise, you can expect at least 1 to 3 of you every exchange to either end up in a problematic social situation or unconscious on the ground, hoping to God they can walk more than 10 feet every 6 seconds. Be warned. If your dead weight wants to wear something like full plate, they will not be able to heal you in time. If they want to stand up front brandishing their weapon, they will be too unconscious to heal you. It is important that your dead weight stay back, but active. He goes on about a few more things around this kind of topic. Before handing each of you your first assignment for the class. This is a pretty straightforward assignment. You are all to individually research a particular topic that is a favorite of yours. And then you are to bring back information related to that topic and explain it to your party. Afterwards, each of your party members will be questioned about that topic. The worse they do, the worse your party does. Information exchange is one of the most important things in any party dynamic. Some of you will find that your dead weight at least listens well and might be of value as a historian or great orator of your tales to regale others with. Some of you will find that your dead weight doesn't care about you talking, and you're going to need to have him bring notes that you write for him. I should also mention, notes will not be allowed. Now, get out there, learn something about what you love, and tell somebody about why you love it. Good luck to all of you.
So we have a specific topic on a sheet of paper. Am I correct in this?
You do not have a specific topic. You have whatever topic you want to have that you like, that you then have to teach somebody else about in the party, and they have to kind of regurgitate back to the professor.
The whole party, or we just teach one person?
It's going to be randomized as to which member of the group is going to be quizzed about which other member of the group.
So we have to teach.
So you have to teach everybody.
All right, so we go off to the library to do research or something?
Yeah, you guys can go off to the Mearachd library.
I will go to the Mearachd library.
This is a very large library, one of the largest libraries in the world, housing books on basically any topic you could be looking for. So, what I want to know is something that interests each of your characters significantly. Who wants to go first on what they are looking into?
I'd like to look into the efficacious use of material components.
All right. You can look into books on material components and their usefulness. What is your favorite material component?
Well, I don't have a favorite material component because they're all so great. But I believe, that what separates a good wizard from a dead wizard is the effective use of material components. And I'd also eventually like to search out and maximize my material components. So I believe that teaching people about these kind of things, you just can't go around buying, fleece you pull out of a mattress somewhere if one is going to be casting sleep. Okay. It's got to be from the sheep, that kind of thing.
So, what do you think you're going to teach to the other party members?
I'd like to teach the other members why it's important to have good spell components for your spell, regardless of what kind of spell it is.
Right, but remember, you're supposed to be telling them about what interests you and what your favorite thing is. So this is your favorite thing and why it's important to you.
Okay, so what I'd like to teach the party is that let me ponder it while I'm reading.
Cool. Who thinks they might have a grasp on what they want to do?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, go. You go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I want to look in the currently popular fashions.
Okay.
Because these guys I'm grouped up with, ugh. I need something better to look at, I think. So maybe I can teach them a few things.
All right, so you head on over to the periodicals section is really what you're going to be looking at. Let's see, what does Trent have related to this in terms of skills?
Knowledge nobility.
Yes. Go ahead and give me a knowledge nobility check. Let's see how well your research turns up. Okay. You gathered together a few things that you enjoy and think might be like easy enough things to teach people like this to do, like the basic stuff that you could teach somebody, like here's like how your hair shouldn't look. Here is the colors not to wear in this time of year versus this time of year. Here are outfits that basically say, I'm basically too poor to be going to school. And you bring them to the table with you and do a little bit of research there. Niev, it sounds like you have an idea yourself.
I want to research how to turn table scraps into compost.
Okay, composting. Give me a knowledge nature. Okay. You find a few books here on composting and the value it has. You find less books than you really would have liked, but you can gather enough together to get some rudimentary research going. And who's next?
I'm going to look for components into my favorite spell because I'm an alpha and I don't fall asleep. I find the sleep spell amazing. And I'm going to look into the history of the sleep spell components, why it is fleece, why it is sand, what happens when people have tried various things, so I can kind of put together a lesson plan with solid objectives. The student will be able to differentiate.
Okay.
So that's my...
Excellent. Sound echoed. Oh, I know what's happening here. Sec. Does it restart it? There we go. Only echoed to me. Who's got an idea for the next one? There's only 2 of you that remain.
I think the group could use some education about healthy eating. So I want to teach them about how to make tasty fruit and vegetable smoothies.
All right. What skill do you have related to that? Let's see here.
I can intimidate them into enjoying smoothies.
Enjoy the smoothie.
I actually kind of like this idea. So you like don't grab any books. You just like head over the table and you're like, I know what I'm going to tell these guys about. I know everything there is to know about this.
Well, you gotta have, in order to have a sound mind, you gotta have a sound body. So you gotta have an all plant-based diet and gotta make sure, you're having your right
All right, hold on. You'll get your chance to sell your stuff to them momentarily.
Hey, my roommate in real life would probably love this class.
What about craft?
No,
crafting smoothies.
You can do this with Intimidate.
Okay.
Constag, what about you? What do you like and want to teach the others about?
So I know we're not allowed to use notes, but I should still teach them about the values of note taking.
Okay.
Since I've been taking notes this whole time.
All right. And let's see. What do you have that would reflect that? I don't see any ranks in linguistics.
Just an int check.
Yeah, just give me a straight int check. Okay. So you can find some books on the like ways to take notes, ways to better like read and prepare. You gather them all together, and the 5 of you can do a bit of research into your favorite topics. And what I'm going to do for right now is we're going to take a short break, and then afterwards, I want to hear how what way each of you are going to try to sell your party members on your ideas and try to help them remember these ideas. And we'll see how well this goes. We'll be back shortly.